The rain had been falling for 3 days. Not a storm, not quite a drizzle, just the kind of quiet, gray curtain that turned the whole world into an echo. It was the kind of rain that softened the edges of broken memories and blurred the lines between dreams and waking. Lena sat alone on the attic floor of the house she never truly called home. Her fingertips traced the torn corner of an old, rain-dampened photograph. In it, her mother stood in a field of white daisies, smiling as if she knew the camera was in love with her. The photograph had been all Lena found after her mother disappeared 10 years ago. No one spoke of it now. No missing persons report. No funeral. Just silence. Her stepmother had burned the rest of her mother's things in a fury one winter evening, saying they only attracted ghosts. Lena had saved the photo from the flames, hiding it in the spine of an old book and praying it would never be found. Now, she looked at it and whispered, "Where did you go?" Downstairs, the house creaked. It always did that when it rained. Lena told herself it was the wood, swollen and shifting with moisture. Not footsteps. Not voices. Not whispers behind closed doors. She folded the photo and tucked it back into her coat pocket before rising. Her boots were cracked at the toes and soaked through from her earlier walk to the bakery, where she earned 2 stale rolls in exchange for sweeping floors. She had eaten one on the way back. The other sat in her satchel, still warm. She turned toward the attic stairs, brushing dust from her knees. There was a sound, a soft shuffling. Not from below, but from within the walls. She froze. Silence again. Lena took a deep breath and pushed the attic door open. The scent of the house hit her, mildew, cold stone, and something faintly sweet, like rotting flowers. "Lena," a voice called softly. It was Mira. She exhaled with relief. "I'm here," Lena said, and her voice echoed oddly down the narrow hallway. Mira was waiting in the small pantry off the kitchen, wrapped in a wool shawl, sipping tea from a chipped mug. Her red hair curled with dampness, and her smile was small but warm. "You forgot your bread," she said, holding it out. "I didn't forget." Lena sat across from her and took the roll anyway. "I was just upstairs." Myra's brow creased. "The attic?" Lena nodded. "I told you before, don't go up there when it rains. That house, it listens." Lena gave a soft, uncertain laugh. "You make it sound like it's alive." Mira didn't laugh back. There were moments, quiet, slow, when Mira looked at the world like she saw things others didn't. Sometimes Lena wondered if Mira was more than just her best friend. Sometimes, late at night, she wondered if Mira was the only reason she hadn't gone mad in that house. They ate the bread in silence, listening to the rain tap on the windows like a long, tired lullaby. Then Mira spoke. "I had the dream again." Lena looked up. "The one with the garden?" she asked. Mira nodded slowly. "It's always the same. I'm standing in a field of ivy, and there's a gate made of bone. Beyond it, a garden, impossible things growing. Flowers that hum, vines that drip ink, trees with doors in them. I see you there. You're barefoot and laughing. But when I call out to you, you don't hear me." Lena shivered. "That's not a dream. That's a nightmare." "No," Mira said, her eyes fixed on something far away. "It's beautiful. It's calling." The house creaked again. This time, both girls heard it, clearly. The sound of someone walking slowly upstairs. Lena stood. "No one else is home," she whispered. They listened. One step. Then another. And then silence. Mira rose and took Lena's hand. It's starting. What is? But Mira didn't answer. Her fingers tightened around Lena's, and she pulled her toward the back of the house. Through the laundry room. Past the broken window with ivy growing through it. To the garden door. It was an old wooden thing, crooked on its hinges and swollen from decades of neglect. No one had used it in years. Beyond it was a weedy patch of land overrun with brambles, nettles, and thorn. But tonight, under the silver rain, the weeds looked different. Taller. Hungrier. Mira reached for the rusted handle. Wait, Lena said, heart pounding. What are you doing? I think it's open now. The garden? That's just a mess of weeds, no. I mean hers. Your mother's. Lena felt the blood drain from her face. I never told you, Mira whispered. But the last night she was seen, your mother said she was going back to the garden. She said she had left something there. Something dangerous. And that if anything happened, I should look for it when the rain had washed the world clean. A wind passed through the broken glass and swept the door open. And there it was. A garden, but not one of this world. No longer overgrown. No longer dying. It was glowing. Alive. Breathing. The trees bent slightly toward them. Flowers bloomed silently in the moonless dark. In the very center of it all, a small well pulsed with a dim light. Lena stepped forward, as if in a trance. And that's when she saw it. At the edge of the garden, just beneath the arch of twisted vines, stood a figure. Tall. Unmoving. Face hidden beneath a veil of moss and ivy. It raised one hand. And pointed at her. The garden was not meant to be found. Lena stood frozen beneath the twisted archway of vines, eyes locked on the veiled figure that had pointed straight at her. Her breath came shallow, her fingers trembling at her sides. The figure was still now, silent, waiting. Then it slowly turned and vanished into the dark between the trees. Lena stepped forward, heart hammering, but Mira pulled her back. Not yet, Mira said. We can't follow. Not until it calls you again. But that thing, what was it? Lena whispered. I don't know, Mira replied. But I've seen it in my dreams too. The garden shimmered in the mist. Rain pooled in the soil but did not muddy it. The light from the small well pulsed gently, like a heartbeat. Lena's gaze drifted toward it. Come on, Mira whispered. Before the house notices were gone. They returned to the attic, where Lena kept her mother's photograph. This time, she unfolded it fully. There, tucked into the corner of the image, barely visible, was a shape she had never noticed before. A gate. Not the picket fence from the family farm. This one was bone white, delicate, woven with ivy. The same gate from the garden. How could I have missed that? Lena whispered. Mira touched the corner. Because you weren't ready. The next day, Lena didn't go to the bakery. She wandered instead, to the old footpath behind the cemetery. It led past the dried-up river and the stone wall where moss grew like velvet. That was where she found the old man. He sat cross-legged under the roots of a bolete tree, his eyes closed, lips moving with no sound. His hair was long, gray, tied in a loose braid over one shoulder. Strings of shells and carved bone hung from his wrists. The air around him was strangely warm. When he opened his eyes, they were clouded, white like fogged glass, but they fixed on her instantly. You are late, he said. Lena stepped back. Do I know you? No, he said, rising slowly. But your mother did. She stiffened. She came to me when she first felt the shift, he continued. When the old curse stirred in her blood again. But it was too late by then. She was already marked. Marked by what? Lena asked. The old man tilted his head. You don't know? He turned toward the roots of the tree and reached inside. From a hollow in the trunk, he drew out a small bundle wrapped in dried banana leaves. Inside was a smooth, pearl-like object, iridescent and warm to the touch. A mutia. Lena took a step back. That's not for me. It is, the man said softly. It was always meant to be yours. I don't want it, Lena said quickly. Whatever this is, whatever my mother was into, I'm not her. The man looked at her, long and slow. You carry the blood of the cursed, he said. The first daughter of the garden. You were born beneath the eclipse, marked not only by light, but by shadow. He placed the mutia in her hand. It pulsed with heat, soft at first, then stronger, until Lena had to close her fingers tightly around it or drop it. What does it do? It protects you, he said. And reveals the truth. What truth? He glanced at the sky. The clouds had thickened. The rain would return soon. Do not stay in the garden after midnight, he whispered. They remember your blood there. Especially the Aswang. Lena felt the name sink into her chest like a stone. My mother mentioned them once, she murmured. Said they watched her in her dreams. Not dreams, the man said. Warnings. The Aswang are drawn to pain, to power. When your mother tried to seal the garden, they came. And when she vanished, the door opened again. Lena stared at the mutia. You're saying she didn't die? She may yet live, he said. But if she does, she is no longer the woman you remember. That night, Lena returned to the garden alone. Mira was asleep, curled in a quilt by the stove. The mutia pulsed against her chest where she had tied it on a cord. The garden gate opened before she touched it. Inside, the air was thick and heavy. Trees leaned toward her, leaves whispering. Strange flowers opened as she passed, releasing soft, golden light. The well in the center now glowed brighter, and as Lena approached it, she felt something stir below her skin. She leaned over the stone rim. Inside, the water was still, but beneath it, she saw something move. A face, pale and sharp, eyes wide open. Her mother? She reached toward the water. A flash of movement. Something leapt from the edge of the clearing, swift, shadowy, clawed. Lena stumbled back, and the mutia on her chest flared with light. The shadow hissed and shrank from her, revealing long limbs, a face half human and half beast. Its eyes were lidless and glowed green. The Aswang. It slithered backward into the undergrowth, watching her the whole time. Lena trembled. What are you? She whispered. The creature didn't answer, but she heard a voice in her mind, not words exactly, but a thought etched in hunger. She opened the gate. You bear her sin. Then it vanished. Lena backed away, heart pounding, clutching the mutia. The garden was no longer glowing softly. It throbbed now with something darker. She ran. Back in the attic, she unwrapped the photo again. This time, she saw it clearly. The daisies her mother stood in were not daisies at all. They were white sigbin flowers, a plant said to grow only where dark things fed on blood. She turned it over for the first time. There, in her mother's handwriting, if you find the garden, burn the roots. Never look into the well. Lena looked out the attic window. The rain had started again. And in the far distance, beyond the trees, a light shimmered, like the flicker of a lantern swaying through the fog. But there was no path there. Not anymore. The mutya burned against her skin. Even wrapped in cloth, tucked into the deepest pocket of her coat, it pulsed with quiet heat, like a second heart. Lena had not gone back into the garden since the night she saw the aswang. Yet every time she closed her eyes, she saw it again, the creature's glowing green stare, and the voice in her mind that was not hers. She opened the gate. You bear her sin. Lena didn't know what it meant. Not fully. But she was starting to understand that the garden wasn't just magical, it was haunted by something older, something ravenous. And it knew her name. Mira sat across the table that morning, slicing dried fruit into a cracked ceramic bowl. You're quiet, she said without looking up. I haven't slept, Lena replied. Bad dreams? Not dreams. Just remembering. Mira looked at her now, really looked. You went back, didn't you? Lena hesitated. I had to. And? There's something down there, Lena whispered. It's waiting. Watching. And I think it knows what happened to my mother. Mira didn't speak for a long time. Finally, she said, you should have told me. I could have gone with you. No, Lena said quickly. It's safer if you don't. Mira scoffed, but gently. That's not your choice to make. Lena looked away. The truth was, she didn't want Mira to see the things she'd seen. The garden wasn't beautiful anymore. It was breathing, yes, but not with life. With memory. With grief. With hunger. That afternoon, Lena returned to the old riverbed. Not to find the bolete tree again, but to be alone. The riverbed was cracked and hollowed, filled with broken bones of driftwood. The sky above was silver, thick with cloud. She sat on a smooth stone and stared at the horizon. Her mother had told her stories when she was a child. Tales about rain spirits who whispered secrets into puddles. Trees that remembered names. Flowers that opened only when someone died. But no one had believed her. Not Lena's father. Not the townsfolk. Not even Lena, once she was old enough to see that fairy tales didn't buy bread or keep you warm in winter. Now Lena wondered if every strange story her mother told was just a warning in disguise. The wind shifted. She turned and saw a shape crouched among the trees. At first it looked like a dog, thin, black, long-legged. But as it moved, its spine arched unnaturally, and its eyes gleamed with a too-human hunger. It stared at her. Lena stood slowly, heart thudding. She reached for the mutya. Even through the cloth, it flared with warmth. The creature snarled, low and guttural, then darted backward into the woods, fast as shadow. She waited, holding her breath. Nothing. Just the wind and the whisper of distant rain. By the time she got home, Mira was gone. In her place was a note, pinned to the pantry wall with a sharpened twig. Don't follow. I have to see something for myself. If I'm not back by moonrise, go to the garden. Find the roots beneath the well. Lena's chest tightened. Moonrise was only hours away. She paced the attic, unable to sit still. Each step across the wooden boards echoed like footsteps she remembered from long ago, her mother moving through this house, humming lullabies no one else knew. Lena had always wondered why she never fit in. Why people avoided her gaze in the market. Why her stepmother refused to let her touch the family heirlooms. Now she knew. She wasn't just poor, or strange, or motherless. She was cursed, or chosen. She didn't know which one was worse. The sun dipped low, casting long shadows across the field. Mira hadn't returned. Lena stood at the edge of the garden, the mutia tied around her neck. The gate opened for her again. It always did now. The garden looked different tonight. More alive. And more dangerous. The trees whispered to one another, and the well glowed not with light but with sound, a deep hum, low and constant, like a bell underwater. She stepped inside. The grass was soft underfoot. The flowers closed as she passed, hiding their faces. She found the well and circled it twice before kneeling beside it. The earth here was cracked. She dug with her hands, pulling at roots as thick as rope. They bled when torn, black sap oozing between her fingers. She pulled deeper. Then her fingers hit something cold. Metal. A ring. A small, ornate silver ring inlaid with a single moonstone. She wiped it clean and stared at it. It was her mother's. She had seen it in the photo, on her hand, gleaming in the sun. Lena slipped it onto her finger. And the garden screamed. She fell back, ears ringing. The well boiled over, light and water and black petals erupting like a geyser. A voice echoed through the clearing. Her mother's voice. Lena. Don't trust the blood. She turned. Something moved behind the trees. Two figures, too tall, too thin. Eyes that glowed like candles behind skin that looked stretched too tight. Aswangs. They stepped into the light. Lena backed away, clutching the mutia. But it didn't glow this time. It was cold. Still. The Aswangs stepped closer, silent. And then, just as Lena prepared to run, one of them stopped. Tilted its head. Then it spoke. You wear her ring, it rasped. Lena froze. What do you want? The second Aswang hissed, but the first held up a hand. She made a promise. Blood for blood. She never paid it. I don't understand, Lena said. She made us a deal, the voice whispered. A daughter for a door. The words struck her like ice. She gave me to the garden? The creature smiled, teeth gleaming. But she fled. Broke the pact. So the door opened anyway. Lena backed away. You're lying. The Aswang's smile widened. Ask your reflection. And just like that, they were gone. That night, Lena sat alone in the attic. The rain came again, tapping gently against the roof. She held the ring in one hand, the mutia in the other. Her mother had made a deal. To open the garden. To give up something. And that something was her. She looked into the cracked mirror across the room, expecting her own reflection. But the girl staring back had eyes that glowed faintly. Not human. Not anymore. Lena had not spoken to Mira since that night. Not because she didn't want to, but because she didn't know how. When she returned from the garden, soaked and shaking, Mira was already home. Silent. Sitting in the dark, arms wrapped around her knees. I found your ring, Mira had said, her voice low. I know what it means. Lena had tried to explain. The curse. The deal. The garden. The way her mother had left a daughter in place of a door. But Mira hadn't answered. And Lena hadn't pushed. Now, 3 days had passed. The rain hadn't stopped. It tapped the window constantly, like someone trying to get in. Lena didn't sleep. When she did, she dreamed of roots that wrapped around her limbs and pulled her down into the soil. Of her reflection in the mirror with someone else's eyes. Of her mother whispering, "Don't trust what looks like love." The garden had changed again. When she stepped through the gate, she felt it instantly, the pressure, like a storm held in place above her head. The trees no longer whispered. They watched. The well had stopped glowing, its surface hard and dark, like glass. Lena knelt near the place she'd dug before. The soil was dry. No sap. No ring. As if the past had folded in on itself. But something else waited for her this time. A letter. Handwritten, folded neatly. Tucked under a white stone. She opened it with trembling fingers. "If you're reading this, then the deal is breaking. The door will open again soon. And this time, no one will be able to close it. Not without a sacrifice. Forgive me. M." The ink was smeared, as if someone had cried while writing it. Her mother? Or Mira? She rushed back to the cottage, heart racing, only to find Mira gone again. But not alone. The second note was pinned to the pantry door with a bone. "They said I could trade myself instead. I'll do what she couldn't." Lena gripped the paper so tightly it tore in her hand. No. Not Mira. Not again. That night, thunder cracked the sky. The wind screamed through the attic rafters. And Lena, alone in the mirror glow, stood before the mutia and her mother's ring, both laid out on the floor like offerings. She touched the ring. It was warm now. The mutia had gone cold again, like a heart that had given up. "What do I do?" she whispered. "I don't even know who I am anymore." The mirror across the attic flickered. Then, not her face, but her mother's. Not young. Not smiling. Older, worn. Haunted. "You don't fight the garden," the image whispered. "You become it." Lena stepped back. "I'm not like you," she whispered. "I didn't run." The image tilted its head. "Didn't you?" She found the old man again, beneath the bolete tree. The shaman, or albulario, as her mother once called him, was waiting. As if he knew she would come. "You saw her," Lena said. "You knew she left me." He nodded. "She made a bargain. But love makes people foolish. When it came time to pay, she ran. And now Mira wants to take my place." "She carries no blood," he said. "The garden will reject her. Or consume her." Lena's knees gave out. She sank to the mossy earth. "I'm not strong enough," she whispered. "I don't even know what I am." The old man reached into the soil, pulled something from beneath the roots. A dagger, carved from bone and wrapped in vine. The handle was warm. Alive. "This is yours now," he said. "It was grown from the oldest root. It cuts not flesh, but memory, shadow, and lies." Lena stared at the blade. "It's not just the aswangs," she said slowly. "The garden itself wants me." The man's voice was quiet. "Because you are the door." She returned to the cottage, hands shaking, dagger in her satchel. Everything around her was falling apart. The rooms had gone cold. Mold bloomed in the corners. The hearth had gone out. And when she looked into the attic mirror again, her face was almost gone. Fading. Replaced by something older, rooted, hollow. She grabbed the mirror, smashed it against the wall. Glass scattered. But from each shard, her reflection still watched. That night, the garden called her. No gate this time. Just open forest. Fog curling like fingers. Light blooming from flowers that only bloomed for the dead. She followed the path toward the well. Toward Mira. Toward the end. The sky was bleeding. Clouds torn open, pouring not just rain but ash. The trees were howling now, voices rising in anguish. Mira stood near the well. Her arms were bare. Her eyes were glazed. I thought I could fix it, she said softly. Thought if I gave something, it would close again. It's not a bargain, Lena said, stepping closer. It's a trap. The garden feeds on sacrifice. That's why it opens again. Because we keep giving. Mira looked at her. And smiled. But not her smile. Lena stopped cold. Mira, she asked. The girl blinked. Then changed. Her face melted like wax, replaced with something sharp, thin, and wrong. You came willingly, it whispered. Good. Lena backed away. Where's Mira? The creature stepped forward. Still here. Still warm. Just beneath the roots. Lena's fingers found the dagger. It burned in her palm. No more trades, she whispered. No more doors. She raised the blade. And the garden shivered. All around her, the trees began to twist. The earth cracked. From the well, something rose, a hand, a face, a body of roots and bone and shadow. The original deal. The entity that first accepted her mother's promise. The enemy was no longer just near. It had risen. The dagger shook in her hand, but Lena held her ground. Roots burst from the garden floor like veins torn open, writhing toward her like hungry fingers. From the well, the shadow thing rose, twisting into the form of something that might have once been human. But Lena didn't look at it. She looked at Mira, or what wore her face. What are you? She whispered. The creature cocked its head, and for a moment Mira's expression flickered back, wide eyes, trembling lips, like someone trapped behind glass. She offered herself, the thing said. The garden accepted. But not as you expected. You took her. She gave herself, it corrected, smiling with a mouth full of too many teeth. Just like your mother almost did. Lena raised the dagger. She still breathes. I can feel her. Yes, the creature said. And you can have her back. But there is a cost. That was the garden's game. Deals. Promises. Blood in place of truth. And Lena was tired of it. I'm not making any more bargains, she said. The earth growled. The sky split. Lightning flashed in the shape of twisted branches. You are the bargain, the shadow whispered. But before she could move, before she could strike, another figure stepped from the trees. The albulario. The old man's cloak flapped in the rising wind. His eyes were like glass, black and reflecting nothing. Get back, Lena warned. It's too late. But he didn't look at her. He looked at the creature. And bowed. Lena froze. What are you doing? The old man smiled. Fulfilling my part. The creature grinned wider. You led me here, Lena said, her voice shaking. You gave me the dagger, told me the truth, why? To ripen the door, the man said softly. To make sure it opened fully. The mutia wasn't enough. The ring wasn't enough. You needed to see the roots. You needed to bleed into them. Lena stepped back. You used me. He nodded. And now the gate is wide. Just as it was always meant to be. The wind howled louder. The garden pulsed with light. Flowers wilted. Trees bent low. The heart of the land, its secret root system, was exposed now, rising from the ground like a living altar. The creature stepped forward, Myra's form flickering like a dying flame. Give in, it whispered. Come home. And in that moment, Lena saw everything. A memory, not hers, but her mother's. Running barefoot through the garden. Holding a child. Bleeding from the palm as she whispered to the soil. A daughter for safety. A door for silence. Then fleeing. Abandoning the pact. Hiding the child in plain sight. A second memory, of Lena as a baby, placed in a woven basket under the attic floorboards. Not adopted. Not abandoned. Hidden. Protected. Or so her mother hoped. Lena dropped the dagger. I'm not the door, she whispered. I'm the seed. The creature paused. What did you say? I wasn't offered. I was planted. And that changed everything. Because if the garden wanted to feed on her, it had failed. She wasn't prey. She was part of it. A deeper magic stirred, something older than the Aswangs, older than the bargain. And it was waking up inside her. The roots stopped moving. The wind paused. The trees seemed to wait. Lena stepped forward. I was born from this curse. But that means I carry its ending too. The creature screamed, Myra's face twisting into rage, then pain, then something monstrous and serpentine. The old man fell to his knees, clutching his chest. No, no. It's too soon, but Lena wasn't listening anymore. The mutia around her neck glowed again, white-hot this time, pulsing like a star. The garden answered. And the well cracked open. A flood of light poured upward, not water, not fire, but memory. Shapes rose in the glow, faces, spirits, people who had once entered this place and never returned. Her mother stood among them. I tried to protect you, she whispered. But I only passed it on. Lena stepped into the light. You didn't curse me. You gave me the truth. The creature screamed again, but the garden roared louder, roots pulling it back, vines wrapping around its limbs. It thrashed. Myra's face surfaced again, eyes wide. Help me, she sobbed. Please, Lena hesitated. The old man crawled toward her. Don't. It's not real. She's gone. But Lena saw something in Myra's eyes. Fear. Not performance. Not manipulation. Real fear. She plunged her hand into the vines, grabbed Myra's wrist, and pulled. The garden screamed as if something vital had been torn from its chest. The creature split open, shrieking, unraveling into smoke and shadow. And the trees fell silent. They collapsed on the edge of the clearing. Mira gasped for air, shaking. Her face returned, slowly, painfully. Her hands were bloodied. Her skin was marked with vine-like scars. You shouldn't have come back, she whispered. I always would, Lena said. And then they both turned. The old man was gone. Only the broken dagger remained, its vine handle wilted, dry. That night, the rain stopped for the first time in weeks. Lena and Mira lit a fire in the attic and wrapped themselves in blankets. The mutia still glowed faintly on Lena's chest. I think I'm still part of it, she said. The garden. The curse. Mira nodded. But maybe you're also its cure. They sat in silence, listening to the crackle of fire and wind outside. Then Lena whispered, "It's not over." Mira looked at her. "What do you mean?" Lena reached into her coat and pulled out a second letter, one that had appeared in the garden just before the light swallowed the well. She handed it over. Mira read it slowly. "She wasn't the first. And she won't be the last. Others are waking now. The roots run farther than you think. The garden is only one gate. There are more." The wind was different now. No longer wild or violent, but still. Holding its breath. Lena stood at the edge of the garden again, alone this time. Mira slept beneath layers of woven blankets, her body recovering, but her spirit distant. "She's not the same," the albulario had said once. "No one returns untouched." Now Lena understood he hadn't meant Mira. He meant her. The letter's final words echoed in her mind, "The garden is only one gate. There are more." Lena could feel them, like distant hums in the marrow of her bones. Portals hidden beneath banyan roots, in the mouths of rivers, behind mirrors that no longer showed your face. But this garden, her garden, still pulsed with unfinished business. The enemy had not been destroyed. Only revealed. And it was waiting. She followed the old path through the trees. The flowers bloomed again, but they no longer whispered her name. They watched her. Judging. Waiting. By the well, the earth had healed, but only on the surface. She felt the pressure beneath it. Something moving. Alive. And then, it spoke. From the roots. From the air. From within. "You came back," the voice hissed. "Even after you were freed." "I was never free," Lena whispered. "You are the seed. Our child. Our heart." The wind picked up. And from the soil rose the true form of the garden's master. Not the creature that had worn Myra's skin. But something older. The root mother. It looked like a woman once, but too tall, too thin, with skin that glistened like bark and hair made of vines and dead leaves. Her mouth was a jagged opening of thorns and sap. She was part tree, part shadow, and part sorrow. "I was born when your mother bled," the root mother said. "I have waited for you." Lena stepped forward. "Why?" "To feed. To grow. To take root in other lands. You are our gate. Through you, the forest expands." "No," Lena said. "I'm not yours." The root mother laughed. It sounded like cracking wood and breaking bones. "You have no choice," she whispered. "Your blood sings with my voice." The ground split beneath Lena's feet. She jumped back, nearly falling into a pit of writhing roots and eyes. One of them opened wide, her own face inside it. "I am you," the root mother said. "The part your mother buried. The hunger she denied. You are not a girl. You are a doorway made flesh." "No," Lena said, her voice breaking. "I'm more than that. You're nothing without me." The mutia around her neck glowed, then cracked. Lena gasped as the warmth vanished. And in that moment, she felt the full weight of the curse again. Alone. Small. Powerless. The dagger, long since broken, lay useless in her satchel. And the voice in her head grew louder. "You were never meant to live," the root mother cooed. "Only to open. Let go, child. Become what you were born to be." Lena sank to her knees. The rain began again, soft and cold. She closed her eyes and thought of her mother. Of the way she used to braid her hair, even though she never smiled. Of the attic light on Myra's sleeping face. Of stories whispered by candlelight about magic and choices, and how love meant standing in front of the darkness, even when you were afraid. And then, a voice. Not the root mother's. Not hers. But Myra's. You're not the door, Lena. You're the one who closes it. Lena's eyes snapped open. From her coat, she pulled the broken mutia. Its glow was gone. But inside, just beneath the cracked shell, something pulsed. Something red. Alive. A seed. The last gift from the garden's first breath. She stood. Held the seed tight in her palm. Faced the root mother. I was born of this place, Lena said. But I am not this place. I am its ending. The root mother screamed, vines launching toward her. Lena ran. Toward the heart of the garden, where the trees curled inward, forming a ring around a stone hollow, older than the house, older than the forest. The first root. It pulsed like a heart. She plunged the seed into it. And everything shattered. Light poured from the ground. The trees howled. The root mother's scream turned into a keening wail, a sound like the world being torn open. I made you, she shrieked. You are mine. But Lena stood firm. You're wrong, she said, tears running down her face. I was made by love. Not by you. The seed split open in the roots, blossoming not into a tree, but a gate of light. It swallowed the root mother whole. And then closed. Silence. Real silence. No wind. No whispers. The garden stood still. Then slowly, it began to breathe. The trees unfurled. The sky cleared. Rain stopped. And the roots that once writhed and cursed, softened. Lena stood at the edge of the well again. Everything felt different now. Not haunted. Just quiet. Mira appeared behind her, wrapped in her coat. You did it, she said softly. Lena didn't answer right away. Because something still lingered in her hand. A second seed. Black. Unmoving. What is that? Mira asked. I don't know, Lena said. It was in the gate. Are we safe now? Lena looked at the forest, still, yes, but watching. I think, for now, she said. But when they returned home, a letter waited on the doorstep. Unmarked. Inside, a single sentence, the other gates are opening. It rained for 3 more days after the garden closed. Soft rain, gentle. Not the storm that had ushered in the horrors, but the kind that sounded like lullabies against the roof. Lena sat on the windowsill of Myra's bedroom, legs drawn to her chest, watching the forest drip. The garden was gone. Not destroyed, changed. Where once there had been twisted roots and shadows, now wildflowers stretched and curled in open air, bright and unfamiliar. The trees stood tall but didn't whisper anymore. The magic was quiet now. And Lena didn't know if that was peace, or the silence before something worse. Mira recovered slowly. She didn't speak much, her voice still caught in silence when she tried. But she smiled more. Real smiles. And sometimes touched Lena's hand like she was checking to make sure she was still real. The albulario visited once. He looked older. You survived, he said. That alone is a kind of miracle. Lena asked about the black seed. He didn't touch it. Some things don't bloom in light, he whispered. Bury it far. Or burn it. But never plant it. He never came back. Days passed. Then a week. Then 2. The world outside kept moving. Rain gave way to golden afternoons, and the townspeople returned to their daily rhythms. But Lena didn't. She wandered the old garden path often, tracing her steps. No more whispers. No more visions. Just memory. Sometimes she held the black seed in her palm, wondering if it pulsed. Wondering if it watched her. Mira didn't ask about it. But Lena knew she knew. Some silences were shared. One evening, while folding old letters and sweeping the attic, Lena found something tucked beneath a floorboard. Her mother's journal. She hadn't seen it in years. Not since the funeral. It was bound in soft, cracked leather, the edges worn thin. Inside, pages bloomed with pressed flowers and careful handwriting. Today Lena asked why the rain sounds different at night. I told her some rains carry stories. Others carry secrets. Sometimes I wonder if she hears the forest the way I did. And further in, the garden is waking again. I feel it in my bones. I hope she never has to know what I've done to keep her safe. But if she does, I hope she forgives me. Lena read the final page twice. Then again. Her mother had made a choice. To close a door. To keep her child free. Even if it meant burying a part of herself. Lena hadn't understood before. Not the silence. Not the fear in her mother's eyes when storms came. Not the sorrow in her voice when she spoke of family. But now, she did. And she forgave her. That night, Lena built a small fire by the garden's edge. She held the black seed one last time. It was cold. Heavy. But no longer humming. She placed it gently in the flame. It did not scream. It did not bleed. It turned to ash. Spring came early that year. The birds returned. Mira began painting again, soft watercolors of the garden, but always from a distance. As if she couldn't bear to look too closely at what it had once been. Lena returned to school. Quiet, still, but present. She walked slower now. Not from fear, but because she had learned to listen. To pay attention. To feel. She visited the well once more in late April. Flowers had bloomed all around it, bright blue ones she'd never seen before. A gift, perhaps. Or a goodbye. She knelt and whispered, "Thank you." Then stood and left it behind. The letters stopped coming. No more warnings. No more riddles. Just life. Quiet, ordinary life. But Lena knew, somewhere out there, other gardens were waiting. Other gates. Other girls. She hoped they would have someone like Mira. And maybe, one day, someone like her. Mira took Lena's hand one night as they listened to the rain from the attic. "You're different now," she said softly. "I know," Lena said. "But not broken." Mira smiled. And for the first time in a long time, Lena smiled back. That night, she dreamed of her mother. They walked through the new garden together. Hand in hand. No darkness. No whispering roots. Just flowers. And peace. Her mother leaned in and whispered, "You closed the door. But you opened something else, too." "What?" Lena asked. Her mother pointed to her chest. "And said, yourself." In the morning, Lena stood by the window, watching the forest drink in the light. The wind whispered, soft, harmless. No more secrets. No more curses. Just the sound of rain. And for the first time, Lena believed she could build a life beyond the garden. Final line, she had been the seed, the gate, and the storm, but now, at last, she chose to be the girl who bloomed. Herb.